get them M's. 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, 4, and just 5 years, 40 million more. You are now looking at the 40 million bar. I rate for Tef Channel, I'm the 100 million man. C. That's where you wrong. I came into the.
Hey, I want to get things started off with a question for you.
What's that?
I got a man code question.
Oh yeah, that's all. We should start every show with some man code ethics and violation issues.
All right, I'm pretty sure this is a major violation, but I just want to make sure I'm not crazy myself.
Okay.
So on the way here, traffic, by the way, in Jacksonville, insane.
Well, that's anytime it rains, whether it's one drop, people forget they can't. People just forget how to drive.
Storm of the century coming.
It doesn't even matter. It could have been. It could be the sprinklers got redirected and it's getting on the street, and then people just getting 5 accidents.
So I'm driving back from the west side
to
here, and like I'm on JTB, which people don't know where that's at, but it's a busy part of Jacksonville. Pull off to the gas station because I got to go to the bathroom. I got to pee something awful now. All right. So already in a bad mood because I walk in and they're cleaning the bathroom and it's a lady.
Okay.
And she's just taking her time. So I'm sitting out there.
Well, you know
waiting.
Me as far as peeing in front of a lady. I
know you ain't got no problem with it, but I was being a gentleman. Okay. Going to let her finish. She took her sweet time. There were 6 dudes working there. I don't know why one of them couldn't clean it. But, that's a different conversation for a different day. Then I could have gone to pee. So anyway, then I go in there. There's 2 urinals on one side of the wall. There's another urinal on the other side of the wall, like behind me, and then there's 2 toilets. I'm the only one in there.
Okay.
All right. So I'm doing my business. In walks dude right next to me.
Yeah, did he have a strike up a conversation?
He had 3, but he had 3 other options.
Oh yeah, that's clear man law violation.
It is, isn't it?
You got to have space.
I mean, there's no need for it. It wasn't even the closest one to the door.
Then maybe he just didn't want to be alone.
Well, I mean,
I wouldn't do it. I would be very upset, and I would talk to him about that.
You would have said something?
I would have said something.
What would you have said?
Bro, there's 5 other stalls or whatever. There's 5 stalls in here. I'm using one. You could have chosen any of these other ones that nobody is near.
Any of the other 3 would have been fine. It's not like I was in a middle one. Like any of the other 3 would have been fine.
You know where else that bothers me?
Where?
Is in movie theaters.
Yeah.
Big old movie theaters.
Yeah.
And I've had it happen numerous times. I sit in the middle, especially when there's nobody else there.
Yeah.
I like to sit in the middle so I can get a good view of the screen. I'm straight. But it's just I like to be lined up and centered.
Yeah.
It's been with me, the missus, or whether I'm by myself because I don't want to be bothered with nobody. Never fails. Somebody comes up and literally sits right next to me.
And you're a bigger guy. Like, and I'm a wide guy.
Dude, there's 1,000 seats in here. Yeah. Why are you next to me, bothering me with my snacks?
You could have gone up or down 2 rows even.
Yeah,
like next to you even means if there's nobody in there, not the row behind you or in front of you even. You got to skip a row.
You're right. And like even when if I'm going to tickets, like one of my buddies, we went to go see ironically, we went to go see Sausage Party.
Oh.
And we knew.
Was that the story about Anthony Weiner?
Close. He might have been in it. He might have been one of the voices, but he goes and he sits. I automatically space out one.
You have to.
I sit in a space that's 1 seat away.
Yeah, you have to.
You got to it's spatial awareness.
Yeah. And you're a bigger guy. You're a big dude.
Yeah, I don't like
they don't make those chairs for you.
But just in general, like I'm not a space eater guy. Like if I'm talking with you, we can have our distance. And what bothers me is when people and I try to give and I'm very calm regardless of what people say. I don't spaz out until I'm cornered. Like an animal.
Right.
So like I'll step back. If you keep taking steps back to me, you better recognize if there's a wall because you might get dropped if I get to the wall.
You're going to run out of room at some point. Even in here, we're in the studio. There's 4 different mics. We're at the 2 furthest away from each other.
Yeah, we're on microphones. Why do I need to be right next to you?
Exactly.
You have headsets. You can hear what I'm saying clearly.
Okay, I'm just making sure. So I was...
Just in case you didn't know, this is Straight Talk, No Chaser, and this is the best way to possibly start it.
Man law.
Man law violation, straight to the point, no chaser, spatial awareness. If you're pissing, do not come next to me.
There you go. You know what? I actually like your idea. We let's vote now. Man law in every episode.
Okay.
All right. Done.
And we should have man law and flip a coin moment.
There we go. That's that. I don't have that for today. I don't have a flip.
We'll get it. We'll get
find
it
one
next
somewhere.
one.
Yeah, we'll find one somewhere. Hey, Tony Romo, man. I kind of feel bad for the guy now. Do you know one thing I think he's done is had to shut up everybody about how he's not a good quarterback, because if he's not playing, the Cowboys absolutely suck.
Yeah, or that just could be the Cowboys have done a piss poor job of planning for the future. But you're right. Most of the times when you're number one quarterback, it's the reason you're number one quarterback's your number one quarterback. When he goes down, the rest of your team sucks. But he's had a pretty good career. His problem is I like to say you never win a game that matters when it comes to the playoffs. This is really his playoff record is where everybody picks on him. He'll have a great regular season and just all of a sudden clam up in the playoffs. But I feel bad for him because you feel like they've got the pieces to come together. They got the running game together. You know they have this offensive line, and they can only have this offensive line for so long. And you think, okay, Tony Romo gives you something, and they should be fine. The ironic thing, though, is, and I know they're still looking for, they're talking about Sanchez, and they're talking about, Kaepernick from some things I've heard of some other different quarterbacks, is that Dak Prescott is kind of primed and in the same position that Tony Romo was in when he got his opportunity.
Yeah.
So if somebody gets hurt, he gets a chance to come in and do what he needs to do.
Yeah, we've all seen those quarterbacks that are preseason heroes, though.
Right.
I mean, that I wouldn't count on Dak Prescott, but this is more for me about Romo. Like, I keep hearing people saying, is he going to be able to come back this year? Is he going to do this? What are you talking about? The dude's, he's 36 years old. He's got a broken back for the second time in, 4 years?
Yeah.
They shouldn't let him come back.
He shouldn't allow himself to come back.
No, hell no.
Like, somebody has to come in and talk to him from a perspective of, you've done enough. You don't have anything left to prove. And it's almost like, I know you don't, you're dadgummit. This is, our fans, all 5 of them are going to understand this. It's a Batman quote. Batman is just like, you've done enough. And pretty much Batman talks about how he hasn't. He's never done. Tony Romo, you ain't Batman. Take your money and leave with the little bit of health that you got, your smoking hot wife, and just keep and live your life. She's pretty. Yeah, he keeps a bad one now.
Yeah, he does. He's done a good job with that. But my thing is, he's got guaranteed money on his contract.
Right. Just
you know what? If you heal, go to Jerry Jones. Say, look, Jerry, I've given you everything I got. You're gonna pay me. I'm gonna stay on the roster, but you're just gonna keep me on IR.
Well, you know what I think Jerry would do, because Jerry, I know a couple people. I know the Bates very well, so I know Bill Bates, and Bill gave him 15 years of his life. He's very good friends with Bill. He flies him out to home games. Stays in his he's not stays in his house, but he sits in the suite and all those different things. Jerry's going to probably take care of Romo, no matter what. If Romo comes and says, Jerry, I've given you everything I got. I'm not recovering from this. It's not worth me not being able to walk in 10 years. I think Jerry will give him whether he gives him that kind of money or gives him some kind of personnel job that gets him close to that kind of money.
Right, like a special consultant.
Yeah.
That pays him the rest of his contract, whatever it is. Along the same lines of quarterbacks being hurt, that Teddy Bridgewater thing that happened yesterday is weird, dude.
I hate the freakish injuries, like especially the non-contact injuries are just the worst.
They said guys were throwing up. It was so nasty.
Yeah, I've heard, like, if he just tore his ACL, the reports where he just tore his ACL, but then it was like, people were like, it looked like his leg snapped in two.
Yeah.
So that's something a little bit different. You don't have an ambulance
and that kind of reaction at a facility for a torn ACL. These guys have facilities that have all the rooms in there. If it's a torn ACL, they can cart him back.
Right.
It had to be something like, I mean, we weren't there. This is purely just me reading between the lines, like Marcus Lattimore.
Yeah, but that Marcus Lattimore, did that happen from a hit, though,
okay,
right?
It did. But I'm saying
so they're saying it was a non-contact. So are they just embellishing, or is it?
And they said his kneecap was out of place.
Okay.
So I'm assuming the kneecap serves a pretty important function.
Yeah, but there's people who dislocate their kneecap all the time, and it doesn't. I mean, it leaves scar tissue, but it doesn't necessarily damage the ligaments.
But there's reports that there were Viking players like literally throwing up.
Yeah.
There were Viking players like, around him praying. There were all this kind of stuff.
Well,
I mean,
people are going to pray. That's one thing. Football is about the most religious sport you can get. When you get hurt, people are going to pray and they're going to lay hands on you and they're going to do all that kind of stuff. And like, nah, dog, my ACL is gone, bro.
But James, my point is, though, there has to be more than just that. There has to be, because even this coach was shaken up. They canceled practice, dude.
Well, I
practice.
would cancel practice when the future of my season goes down too. He's not the best player on their team, but you show me a team without some semblance of a quarterback, and I'll show you a team that's going to go 8-8 at best.
It sucks for them though, because I mean they've developed a team. They're moving a new stadium, and this was going to be a good year for them.
Right.
And now you know what
they had them slated to have the best record in the NFL this year.
Yeah,
Everything
the
they put all the pieces in place. You have your running back. You only got AP at this level of AP, probably for 2 to 3 more years. Your line is there. You got some key players on defense. You got some dynamic wide receivers. All you need is a quarterback that can be able to toss it downfield off of the play action. But, you know, it makes some things that have been floating around, some topics that we've stayed away from, you know, in particular on purpose, but it makes for more drama in the NFL. It makes for more anticipation for week 1 and what's going to happen next week.
Well, to your point, they were, when Vegas released the over-under on wins, they were at like 13.
Right.
It'd be interesting to see what Vegas has redone them at now. And speaking of odds, we're going to get into that a little bit later. We got a fun show. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff. Now, while we're on the injury thing, though, an interesting thing locally here in Jacksonville, Fred Taylor sent out a series of tweets today,
right,
that I thought were really interesting. For those of you who aren't that familiar with Fred Taylor was a great running back.
Well, nationally, he's a 10,000-yard running back.
Right.
So I mean, he's a really good running back. You should know who he is.
But he had the moniker of Fragile Fred
for a while, and especially in the beginning.
Yeah, and so he releases these tweets today, and I'm just going to read them in order here. It said, visited Chicago last week for full ortho exam, took 11 MRIs and 12 X-rays. Got results yesterday. Somehow I played career with fractured clavicle, 2 partially torn labrum, 1 in each shoulder. Mm-hmm. I'm appalled. I was never told this as a player. Oversight or BS? I've always gotten a sensation in my shoulders, but I thought it was fatigue. All these years have passed, and now I discover my shoulders are jacked. Even through all the injuries and lingering injuries, somehow the league still managed to deny my line of duty benefit 3 times. Seems the neutral doctors we are referred to by the league overlook the injuries and issues I currently deal with. Nice job, guys. They gave me this stupid nickname, Fragile Freddy, after I had torn the groin off my bone. Somehow it, too, was diagnosed as a minor strain. I didn't complain or make an excuse to the media. I kept smiling, kept my cool, fought back, and finished top 15 all-time rusher.
He has some very valid points. And when I was listening to it, and I couldn't help but come from the perspective of a former player. You are a commodity, and you're only as good as you are on the field. Now, two of his 3 injuries that he talked about, technically are one, the torn labrums in both shoulders, are not that big of a deal. They're overuse injuries. And the reason why I say that is I had a complete labrum repair in my right shoulder, and I know my left labrum, my labrum is messed up in my left shoulder because we were supposed to have both. I couldn't have 2 surgeries at the same time. I had one, and then the pain I was able to deal with the pain in the left one, so I never had it over about 13 years ago. So most people who play a sport that's violent, or even if you're not, like if you play, like if you're a volleyball player and you routinely hit the ball with your right hand, you probably go look at your shoulders. You're going to probably have a torn labrum. Baseball players, you probably have a torn labrum. It's just what the shoulder was not designed to do. It's the cartilage.
You can play running back with
that. You can play running back. And actually, I remember when I went in the middle of the season, my position coach was there. Randy Orvest, the head trainer for Florida State at the time, was like, well, if he was a pitcher or a quarterback, we'd probably say his career is over, but he's a fullback, so it's really pain tolerance. Mm-hmm. So if he needs to have the surgery now, he can have it. He can have it, but if he's okay, we can play. And my coach looks at me, and you know what my coach tells me? He's okay.
Yeah.
So, but the clavicle is odd because I mean that's something that's got to be painful.
Yeah,
to deal with.
As I read through this, like here's what jumps off at me, and we're talking, about a league that claims that they're all about protecting their players, mm-hmm. and that's their new movement, so to speak, right? I know a lot of guys who have been through this whole line of duty benefit process, and the NFL couldn't make it any harder on these guys. I mean, they really couldn't. Number one, they've got doctors in certain areas of the country.
You had to fly out to California.
Yeah, initially.
Yeah. One of my old business partner, Lonnie March, played 10 years in the NFL, and he had to go fly out. I remember he had to miss. He was like, "Yo, I'm gonna be gone for a couple of days. Got to fly to California to do some tests."
Ton of tests, ton of paperwork. Here's the deal: these guys, it's not that hard. NFL, if you're gonna make line of duty available to them, when they got to you, you did a physical, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody goes through a physical. You have to pass a physical. Okay? So you got all this stuff. When their career ends, you do another physical.
No, they won't do that. That's
because everybody would get it.
Well, not just that. Yes, you're right, because everybody would. Oh, I see what you're saying. Not everybody would get the physical because everybody would get line of duty benefits. It's not beneficial, and it's BS that the NFL actually cares about players. The NFL cares about one thing and one thing alone: green and its image. That's the only reason they changed these rules is because moms have started watching. Women have started watching the game a little bit more. Women are consumers, and the violence of the game, so the aftermath of the violence of the game, sometimes turns some of them off, especially the mothers of sons who play football. But let's be clear: all they care about is what's going to get fans in there. The minute that they start losing the essence of what football is, and they start losing people, consumers, or sales go down, fans aren't filling venues as much as they used to. Trust and believe the game will go back to the more animalistic that it used to be. The violence will be brought back. They're only kind of covering their tracks because people is how bad the players look. The NFL really, in the grand scheme of things, is not that old. It's really 1960. It's a little older than that, but 1960 is really when the brand really started becoming nationwide. So once you see these guys who've played for the years, and especially in what I would say let's say the heyday, like when it really started to come in the 70s, like you start seeing these guys can't walk.
Mm-hmm.
These guys can barely talk. Concussion, CTE, all these different things are starting to come out. Now they're starting to try to backtrack, and they, like I said, they could care less. They just don't want to. They just want to throw money at it so that it goes away.
Well, and here's the thing: is we get the and I am a little bit in this camp, especially with the concussion protocol of everybody that sued the NFL after the fact. But I am a little bit with people who say, well, they knew what they were getting into. With some of it, yes. With something like this, if you were legitimately lied to through 10 years of your career,
mm-hmm.
and then you have a benefit that is owed to you based on injuries that they're denying, of injuries that you obviously had while you were playing that prevented you from playing again.
Mm-hmm.
I have a problem with that.
Yeah, let's clarify that. Yes, I do know that the human body was not designed to run full speed into another human body.
Mm-hmm.
I do understand that there's a level of risk involved in playing football. Not a problem. But when if I have gear, or if I have, which I'll even use my body, if I have things that are accessible to me to make me play this game at a higher level that aren't operating properly, I should be informed of that. You have literally taken the decision of my safety out of my hands. I'll use this example. We all know people who go clean, they use the scaffolds, or they go up on the high rises and they clean the windows. Very dangerous job. You sign up for it. High winds, you can fly out of that bad boy. You know when you go up there. But if you're going up there thinking that you have the safest equipment, now if they go up there and they don't tell you that what you're standing on is 30 years old and has wood rot,
mm-hmm.
then they're liable for that.
Or that harness that's protecting you, you're over the weight limit.
Yeah, they did not give you the food. They did not let you know. You did not know what you were getting into. They withheld information. There have been people who have been sued and businesses shut down for less. And the thing is, the NFL does need to be held liable, which, again, if the NFL would just, if most people would just do the right thing because it's the right thing to do and get in front of things, they'll see it'd be a lot easier. It'd be a lot easier on them. But because the NFL is in the business of making money, they believe that they're invincible, and it's just going to be another dent into the shield.
Yeah, I read this, and Fred Taylor is a guy who came in rough around the edges, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we got to see the perfect example of somebody mature,
right?
Like we all do,
mm-hmm.
and turned into one of the favorites here in Jacksonville. And now you sit there and you go, okay, this guy gave his well-being, not his life, but his well-being to, like you just said, and was fed false information. And listen, I don't know Fred that well, but I know him well enough to know that he probably hasn't done anything in the last couple of years that would cause that much damage. This was obviously done on the football field.
Like, especially a clavicle. That's pretty intense.
Yeah, and this isn't even getting into a head scan or anything like that. This is just bones. This is just injuries. This is what happens when you play football. Okay, if it would have been diagnosed and they would have said, hey, Fred, listen, you're playing with torn labrums and a fractured clavicle, and he decided to still play, that's on him.
That's on him. You know the information. You've been read your bill of health.
Right.
And you still made the decision to go out there.
Right. But they didn't tell him that. So you know what? I hope not only does he get line of duty, I hope Fred stays on this. I hope he stays on it and makes him change something or sues the ever living piss out of him.
And see, the problem is that the NFL doctors are in the catch-22. You're employed by the team to get the players on the field. So I mean, there have been a lot of guys who've got stories about, you know, when you're hurt, they can't cut you, which during this time of year is a very difficult thing because you only have so many IR spots,
right?
And you only have so many roster spots. So they rush and get guys healthy so they can get them on the field, practice, and then cut you,
right?
Because they have to prove that you're able to play. And so there's tons of stories of guys who have had torn hamstrings, which have been diagnosed as pulls and have been rushed out on the field. And the fact that I remember Lamb used to was the one who gave him the name Fragile Freddy. And I've had a groin pull. I've never torn it off the bone. But when I had a groin pull, it felt like somebody was taking an ice pick to my nuts. Yeah. It is not a fun feeling. I can only imagine what
But you weren't here there. And there's more to that story. You weren't here then. That was a battle between Coughlin and Fred Taylor.
Right.
And Coughlin would never put him as out on the injury report. And so to all the fans, he was doubtful, which means a lot of times he may play.
Right.
Forever. So the fans didn't know what it was. And so that nickname came really off of misinformation fed to the media and the fans from Tom Coughlin in a lot of ways. That's where the nickname came.
Right, but the thing is, you just should not read into those things. There are things that some people have been able to do and recover from that others take weeks from. Marshall Faulk is one that always comes to my mind. Marshall Faulk had a knee scope. I used to think knee scopes were just the minorest of the minor things because Marshall Faulk would get his knee scope every Monday, it seemed like, and come out and just put up these amazing performances. Until I realized that, and I saw a couple of teammates, they got their knee scope and they were done. Yeah. Like, I thought it was like, it could mean anything. Yeah. So the way people can perform, the way people can do things. I've had teammates who found out later that their ACL was torn or partially torn that played. Yeah, I've had guys who've had the same injury.
With the MCL, yeah. You hear a lot of that with MCL,
right?
A whole lot of that. At the end of the year, they go through their exit physical, and it's by the way, you've got a torn MCL. Man, you knew that crap all year. You just didn't tell me till the year was over. Now you want to get it fixed. But anyway, that's some injury stuff in the NFL. I just kind of found interesting. It all kind of happened in the last couple of days. One of the things that we talked about 2 days ago on the podcast. Oh, by the way, thanks for the feedback on the podcast, folks. Getting great feedback.
Just got to keep pushing it out.
Keep pushing it out for us. We appreciate it. We talked about Tim Tebow, right? And his baseball tryout.
Good night.
Well, he had it.
Yeah.
He had it yesterday.
He did.
And it's exactly what everybody thought it was going to be. It was a media circus. There were people tweeting out videos and all that kind of stuff. And the video that you saw was him hitting these bombs. Great. Okay, it takes some skill to hit bombs. But here's what I'm going to compare this to, James, is if you watch golf, there's the guys who are really skilled.
Right.
And they play on the PGA Tour. And then there's these big muscled up dudes.
Right.
And they do like long drive contests, but could never make it on the PGA Tour.
Because their short game is terrible.
Well, they're built for one thing. Meet Tim Tebow. He is the baseball equivalent of a long drive contest because then they threw some live pitches at him. And you know what he looked like?
What did he look like?
Me. He looked like me at the batting cage.
No, I'll go a step further. There are guys who have PGA Tour cards, and then there are scratch golfers. A scratch golfer is not somebody that comes out and can play on the PGA because they can't do it consistently. Like, yes, if I throw you a strike, you should be able to hit a home run if you've practiced and you've trained. The problem is they're not always throwing it right down the middle. They're not always throwing it 90 miles per hour. They're not always throwing it straight. They're throwing a gang of different pitches at you in the MLB. The other part of it is they said his change of direction, his anticipation in the outfield was lacking, which is where they have him. Well, that's a pretty big part of being in the outfield, is knowing where it's going to be at and having that. The other thing is what we would think would be one of his strongest suits, his arm, is what they say isn't really that great. That's not what they're raving about.
But why would people think that? He couldn't hit a 15-yard out. Why would you expect him to be able to throw a ball from right field to third base?
What they just think about is the big throws, the big throws. And the other side of it is what I don't want people to do, and it's not hating, it's observations and it's analysis of what we've seen. I've seen thousands, tens of thousands of 40s and 60s based upon the decade in the career that I've had. Mm-hmm. And also I've ran numerous of them and done things. I can look at speed and tell you something. I've seen kids. I've had a kid who ran a 6'3". I've got a couple kids in the 60. I've got a couple kids who are running 6'8", 6'7" right now. I cannot look at the film that I saw and justify a 6'6" in the 60. Tim Tebow was literally butt kicked the entire 60. His knee did not get past, as I joke, didn't get past his shin. Now, granted, that's anatomically impossible, but the reality is the man had no explosion. And guess what? Guess what was on the scouting report?
What?
Lacks explosion. If you run sub 7 in the 60, you are explosive to some extent. Just like most humans, we joke about it in the NFL, 5 seconds. Oh my God, he just ran a 5. No, if you run sub 5 seconds, you are faster than most human beings on this earth. You have some kind of explosion. You run sub 7, you have some kind of explosion. You can't tell me that a guy ran a 6'6" and then tell me he's not he lacks his explosion.
Right.
It makes no sense.
Well, here's the answer, though. I got the answer for Timmy. I'm going to help him out here. Is somebody's going to sign him? And
no, he's got he's fielding offers.
Yeah, which is okay. Whatever. We all know what that's about. That's about money and money only. You're never going to see Tim Tebow playing in the big leagues. But you know what he could do? If a team really wanted to capitalize on what is now over a decade Tebow craze, is you bring him in, you let him take batting practice every day. You get people there early. People come see your games. They buy tickets. You just let him come in and take batting practice. He is the equivalent of the long drive champion in golf. He don't even have to like you just throw it out there. And if you want to boost the All-Star game, throw him in that one.
I'm gonna make him some more money.
All right.
Because what he's done a really good job of in his business acumen is attaching his name to certain small businesses and letting them have regional success. Mm-hmm. PDQ is one of them that's perfect. It's definitely not better than Chick-fil-A, but people like PDQ because of what Tim Tebow's attachment to it. Imagine if somebody gave him a small interest in one of these clubs. And he does exactly what you said. His sole purpose is to have a Tim Tebow night, or he goes to a couple of the home games or to different places, and they pay him just for that. He gets what he wants, but like we talked about before, it ain't about the money with Tebow.
No,
it's about some pride thing. He didn't. To me, it's unfathomable that a guy would run the way he ran when he is a percentage owner in a sports performance company.
Yeah, that's a good point.
He's a percentage owner in D1 Sports. If I am Peyton Manning, if I'm anybody else who has an ownership in it, I'm pissed off because he does not look like a performance athlete. That did not look like when I see somebody training for the combine, that's not what I want to see. I'll go a step further. That's not what Tim Tebow looked like when he ran the 40 in this combine.
No. Tim Tebow's a combine freak.
Yeah, he looked like a trained athlete. Matter of fact, I'll go a step further. I think he was a 4.6 in the combine, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
A 4.6 should be is the equivalent of like a 6'5" or a 6'4" in the 60, easy, which is fast. That's why I know he's not. Those times that he gave were BS. When I ask a couple baseball guys that I know that have played pro and that I've seen kids go, I said, "What is your thoughts on what the scouting report said?" He said, "That is the scouting report of almost every kid that's draftable coming out of high school. The only difference is he's 29 years old
and he's Tim Tebow.
29 years old." We'll put the fact that he's Tim Tebow to the side. They're going to put him in instructional league or lower level baseball to where he can work himself up. The difference between an 18-year-old and a 29-year-old is the 18-year-old is probably going to increase in strength and is going to get better. A 29-year-old, it's that magical number at 30. Once you get 30, things ain't moving the same way they go, and things hang a little bit lower. So, I mean, it's not that he can't do it. It's not that he's not a great athlete. It's just the arrogance of thinking that that you can beat Father Time.
The best analysis I heard, and then we'll end this, is somebody said that he looked like an actor who was trying to play a baseball player.
I think that's solid.
Yeah. I mean that summed it up for me right there. And of course, all of these are anonymous because nobody wants to attach their name to anything that is negative about Tim Tebow. You just can't do that
because they'll roast you. And it's not about not liking Tim Tebow. Yeah. It's about making an observation of what you saw.
Oh, dear. I just got a text from the wife. You ready for this?
Yeah.
My 5-year-old sitting on the couch playing a game on the TV, on his Xbox, gets mad at the game. You know what he says?
F the game?
This damn game.
Oh, that's so awesome. I love him, man. I love
this
Walker.
Kid?
Just like think I'm going to take my ass to sleep. That was just one of the greatest moments of all time.
Oh, dear. Anyway, sorry about that.
Randomness. Now you're seeing our show.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, just as we hit on that the other day, I want to just give a follow-up on it because it is big news, not just here in Jacksonville, but all over. It was on SportsCenter last night. Crap.
Tim Tebow takes a piss in this on SportsCenter.
This is true, but Tim Tebow was not the guy at the gas station that came next to him.
He wasn't. No. Because you know me, my thoughts on Tim Tebow. He could be that guy.
No, come on.
I'm not saying that's his lifestyle. If that's his choice, that's his choice.
Yeah.
I'll support him either way.
Yeah. All right. Hey, by the way, did you see this thing? This is, again, off script. But did you see this thing about home dude that cheated on his girlfriend?
Oh, man, I think that's what you were showing me a couple clips of.
Yeah. Yeah, so this dude, all right, if you cheated on your wife, what does she do to you?
Oh, she run me through the ringer.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Would it get violent?
Nah, she's not a violent person. The problem is the fear of retaliation would stop the violence. Okay. I would not put my hands on a woman. But
would she get revenge?
Yeah, probably.
Somehow. Some capacity.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, this chick, boyfriend cheated on her, and she got revenge, all right. Dude was sleeping.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, she lit his package on fire.
Yeah, see.
Not the package he got in the mail. His package.
So not like the packages of cigars that I get from
his
time to
Anthony
time.
Weiner.
Oh, wow. See, once that happens, once we cross the bridge of you trying to harm me, I'm going to give you an opportunity because I have a lot of female friends that preach equality.
Mm-hmm. We're about to get into that, actually.
I'm going to give you the opportunity to have some equality. Because I'm going to prosecute you to the fullest extent of the law.
If you burn my junk, you dang right I am.
Yeah, because right now, because I'm scarred, literally. So what I'm going to do is make sure that you get an opportunity to come into one of the nicest, most uncomfortable jails that we could possibly get you in. And then fiscally, I'm going to make your life hell too, because I'm coming for every penny.
This dude, and it's on video.
Yeah.
That's how stupid she was.
Mm-hmm.
She did it and had a friend of hers video it.
So people talk about woman scorn, and there's nothing like it. And I agree, women can be vindictive and can be doing all this other stuff, but I'm to the point now, I'm too big to be trying to be ultra macho. You put your hands on me, you're going to jail. Because if I even try to grab you, you know what's going to happen to me? I'm going to jail. So one of us got to go. So if you want to take it to that level, I'm gonna make sure you go to the best place that you're trying to go to.
Well, speaking of equality, I know how you feel about this person.
Oh yeah,
and we're just bouncing all over because it's fun this way. Hope Solo,
man, she's a terrible person.
So Hope Solo was given a 6-month suspension by U.S. Soccer for unacceptable comments following the U.S. women's national team's quarterfinal loss to Sweden.
So they're finally punishing her for something.
Yeah, in which she called the Swedes a bunch of cowards.
Right.
Because they beat them and they had a conservative game plan. No, Hope, they're smart.
Yeah.
That's what they are. They're smart. And Hope Solo is one of these who's lived her whole life intimidating people.
Mm-hmm.
That's basically what it is. So they suspend her, which effectively is going to end her
career.
as a member of the U.S. women's soccer team.
Which was probably over anyway.
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, I don't know enough about soccer to know, that kind of stuff.
She's up there.
But here you go. Here's her statement. You ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
For 17 years, I dedicated my life to the U.S. women's national team and did the job of a pro athlete the only way I knew how. With passion, tenacity, and unrelenting commitment to be the best goalkeeper in the world, not just for my country, but to elevate the sport for the next generation of female athletes. In those commitments, I have never wavered. And with so much more to give, I am saddened by the Federation's decision to terminate my contract. I could not be the player I am without being the person I am. Even when I haven't made the best choices or said the right things. My entire career, I have only wanted the best for this team, for the players, and for the women's game. I will continue to pursue these causes with the same unrelenting passion with which I play the game. So here's what she effectively said. I'm a crappy person, but I wouldn't have been a good athlete without being a crappy person.
Yeah.
Can you imagine, just for a second, can you imagine if Ray Rice would have said, hey, yeah, I beat my wife or my fiance at the time, whatever she was.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? Y'all should get over it. I shouldn't be suspended because that's what makes me a good athlete.
Right. If that same anger and bottled up rage is what makes me a better athlete.
Right. That's what she said, basically.
Here's the thing. I don't want to sound, there's no real way to say it besides sounding like that. People want equality, but they don't want the equity. I say that. That's what you want. You want equal, but you don't want to necessarily be judged or measured based upon what you bring to the table. So what happens is when you're a terrible person, as a male athlete or a female athlete, you should be treated the same. ESPN, when she had her domestic dispute with her husband and when she beat the brakes off of her nephew, it did not get the same coverage.
No.
It did not get even a glimmer of the coverage.
Most of you listening are sports fans didn't even know
that happened. You're going to have to go to Google, and what you're going to do is find little snippets of stories that aren't even going to delve into it. And her punishment was none.
She's the Greg Hardy of female athletes.
Exactly. Like, there's something that happened. We know it happened. She was prosecuted for that. And I mean, she didn't go to jail. I think the kid decided not to talk about it, like Greg Hardy. And she wasn't punished for it. And it's BS. It happens with a lot of stuff. It happens with like Brittany Griner.
Yep.
Brittany Griner goes and gets into this dispute, and then now she's getting mad because she got to pay child support and alimony.
Yeah.
As a dad. Like, even though she knows, like, she signed up and did all these different things. We want all the benefits without the consequences, which I'm all for giving people the benefits. But I'm all for you suffer the same consequences. But we know once you play, because Hope Solo is somewhat attractive. I can see her attractiveness to some people. But she's going to try it out there. She's going to get all dolled up. She's going to make these different things. And guess what's going to end up happening? We're going to view her as an American sweetheart and eventually as a victim as opposed to the villain in what she is in this case.
Absolutely. And here you go. Solo was previously received a 1-month suspension, 1 month, by U.S. Soccer in January 15 for an unspecified reason following an incident that resulted in a DUI charge for her husband, ex-NFL player Jeremy Stevens, while she was a passenger. In June, Solo was also denied by a Washington State judge in her attempt to have a discretionary review to dismiss 2 fourth-degree domestic violence charges stemming from a June 2014 incident involving her half-sister and that woman's then 17-year-old son.
Yeah, see.
That's quality.
But I guarantee you if it was a guy, it wouldn't be a 4th degree.
No. You know what? Here's the thing, is I'm not taking up for him, but Ryan Lochte lied.
Mm-hmm.
Right? To my knowledge, Ryan Lochte didn't call out another country. No. No, he kind of did with Brazil. But you know what I mean.
Yeah.
He didn't. He hasn't beaten anybody like this. He hasn't. I mean, he doesn't have the rap sheet, but he's getting just tortured right now.
Yeah, it's coming. It's a little bit less now, but when it was hot, it was scorching. He lost his endorsements, but some of it, I think those people used as an excuse because he was aging out of the sport.
Well, now he's getting more of them. He's gotten 3 endorsements since all this happened, which is kind of crazy. And he's on Dancing with the Stars, by the way. See, Vanilla Ice is on Dancing with the Stars?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Dancing with the Stars, you've run your course when you start getting Ryan Lochte into Vanilla Ice.
Yeah.
Like, I was reading through the list, and I was
is
like,
it Gabby Douglas or one of them gymnasts is on it?
I don't know. Is she the one that was in the hospital the other day?
I don't know.
One of them was in the hospital. But the whole Hope Solo thing, my whole point is you probably didn't even know that she received the suspension.
Not at all.
I'm with you. And to your credit, you've called this, you've been talking about this for months.
Right.
About Hope Solo.
I think she's a terrible person. And I if she walked in this door right now, the first thing, if she told me, hey, James, I'm Hope Solo, you know what I would say? You're a terrible person. Good. Let's go interview. Let's do an interview right now. You're not going.
I'll bring her in here.
That's what I'm saying. You're not going to like the way this is going to go, but let's do it.
Yeah. You know who's not a terrible person?
Who?
Florida State wide receiver Travis Benjamin.
Man, he's a salt of the earth guy.
That's a cool story.
Right.
That's a really cool story. Is if you haven't heard, and I don't know if this has gone viral nationally or if it's just in our area. Basically, he was at a middle school. Is that right?
Yeah. Mumford Middle School, I think. Yeah, Bill Mumford.
And he saw a kid eating lunch by himself.
Right.
And he goes over and has lunch with the kid. Didn't even know it was being recorded. Had no idea. The kid was autistic.
Right. He just goes over and says he sees the kid's by himself, and he just says, hey, man, you mind if I sit here? And the kid said, no, come on, sit down. And they ate lunch together.
Ate some pizza together.
And what happened was that one of the people in the school took a picture and sent it to the kid's mom. The mom had no idea who he was, or that Florida State players were there to speak and eat lunch with the kids, which most schools do this to no fanfare. A lot of people do it all the time. Well, the mom responds and puts it on Facebook and just says how happy she was that somebody took the time to go and sit with her son because he has autism and a lot of the other things, and she's afraid with him being in middle school that he'll be ostracized and picked on. Well, people,
because middle school kids are evil.
Yeah, it's tough. But comes to find out that it's Travis Rudolph, and he's one of the better players at Florida State. Probably is the primary target at wide receiver. Might be an NFL player, and then that just made it even bigger. And then now it's gone. It's like in a couple different news outlets have picked it up. I got it. Somebody shared it to me through actually the Facebook post is what I was sent from the mom. And I was like, oh, wow. And then next thing you know, it's picked up like that. It took off. And it's a lot of guys who do things like this. There's some who get more fanfare. Tim Tebow, because of the rock star lifestyle he had coming into college, he got that. Even guys who've been destroyed by the media. Jameis Winston was known to go to different area schools and do stuff like that. But, guys like Travis Rudolph, they have it at UF, they have it at FSU, they have it at USC. They really have, they do certain things to try to let these young men understand the platform that they have and try to do good things and try to get them used to doing it so that when their career is over, they know about the right thing to do. How do I know? I was one of those young men that they consistently put in the community to go read to kids. Sometimes the kids read to me, jokingly, but and just to talk to people.
I've heard that. I've heard at Florida State they send you off to the middle schools to learn to read.
Yeah, man. No, hey, teach us the football. That's pretty much.
Well, the two cool things about this story is one, obviously, the Travis Benjamin doing it and it getting some traction.
Wait,
yes,
it's not Travis Benjamin.
Oh, my bad.
Rudolph.
Yeah, Travis Rudolph. My bad. I've been saying Benjamin the whole time.
Kelvin Benjamin.
There you go. Travis
plays
Rudolph.
For the Carolina Panthers.
Yes, Travis Rudolph doing this. And the cool thing is the kid may not have even known really who he was. To the kid, it was just somebody coming and eating lunch with him. And to me, that's almost the cool part of the story. If the kid would have known, then the kid may have been like, whatever. This guy's trying to get a photo op. Maybe it made his day. But, man, I bet you that kid was lit up just that somebody
took the time out.
And
this is the beginning of the school year, so it's even cooler. But even if the kid didn't know who he was and he was unpopular, just think about how cool it would be that somebody known comes and hangs out with you. Think of all the MTV and those guys used to do the stuff where the kids would write in to a famous person and the famous person would come take them on a date or spend the day with them. That could make this kid raise his social status in the school. And yes, it's trivial, but we've all gone through it. And in this day and age where kids are killing themselves because of bullying and things like that, that right there could literally make this kid's next 3 to 4 years.
It's just a cool story. And we you'll know on this, we're going to make fun of people all the time, and we're going to get after people who do wrong. We're also going to do stuff like this.
Right.
I mean, I don't like Florida State. I can't stand Florida State. I never pull for Florida State. I hate Florida State. But big props to Travis Rudolph.
Right.
Big props. I'll even get your name right now.
That's it. Hey, no-blooded, nose do things the right way.
Yeah,
most
sure
of the time.
they do. Yeah, sure. Now you're taking it too far. Speaking of, what do you think Florida State's odds are to win the national championship?
7-2.
7-1.
Close.
7-1. So I found this interesting thing, and everybody loves odds. Everybody loves to hear odds, and we'll go through a couple of them. But I found one that had their opening odds, and then their odds in mid-April, and their current odds. And I just thought it was kind of weird because, like, Alabama's been 6-1 the whole time. They're the odds-on favorite. Michigan went from 15-1 to 10-1 to now they're 7-1. Them and Florida State are both in second. They have the second highest odds. Florida State was 15-1, 15-1, and now 7-1. The interesting thing about Florida State for me is what's happened. Their senior quarterback or junior quarterback got hurt. So now they're plugging a freshman in. Their odds go up.
I think it was up in the air, and it was a toss-up. Now they believe now that they know who's the starting quarterback, they believe that they'll have a better direction in which they're going to go.
Clemson's odds have gone down. They were at 7-1. Now they're 8-1.
Yeah.
LSU or Ohio State and LSU are both 8-1 as well, but LSU was 15-1 in April. Now they're 8-1. What's happened?
They realize
money.
that Fournette is a man.
I guess money flowing.
That's how
into.
Vegas goes. Is when people start betting, they change the odds.
But so some of these, that's why it's so interesting to me because around here everybody's getting on the Tennessee train. Like all we hear is Tennessee. Man, bump Tennessee until they show me
every year.
Yeah, forget it. You haven't been able to beat Florida when Florida's down. You don't beat them this year, you may never beat them again. I mean, the way they lose to Florida is
heartbreaking.
It is.
2 years in a row by 1 point.
So they're 12-1 now. There's no way. No way. They'd have to be like 60-1 for me to put any money on Tennessee.
I'm thinking that they have a good running back.
They play Alabama this year.
They have a veteran quarterback. Doesn't have any eyebrows, but I know he has a disease. But
man, you can't see. We just talked about.
He doesn't have autism, bro. He just has a disease where he can't grow hair, except for the top of his head.
Still, you can't help it.
I mean, he could go bald, and then nobody would know.
He still wouldn't have eyebrows.
Well, I mean, then I would just think you were surprised, or it was a prank. We actually did that to a guy. He wouldn't cut his hair. We had the hair rule. So they shaved his eyebrows and they cut his hair.
Biggest jump?
Who's that?
USC. The Trojans. They were 80-1. Now they're 25-1.
Okay. So when they lose to Alabama, people will just lose their money.
Stanford, I would think, would have better odds than USC, wouldn't you? They went from 20-1 to 40-1. Ole Miss, 40-1. Well, nobody's betting on Ole Miss because everybody who's Ole Miss fans they're out of money. They've had to pay the dang team.
Pay out the players.
I mean, so you can only pass the plate so many times.
That and they believe that during the middle of the season, if they are winning, they're going to just pull all those wins back. The NCAA is going to slap them with the hammer.
Baylor's, to what I'm seeing, has had the biggest drop, rightfully so.
Makes sense.
They went from 12-1 to 50-1.
And they just had another player that's going to get suspended for beating up dogs.
Yeah, he was suspended 6 games, I think. Yeah. They recruit nice kids over at Baylor, that's for sure. Nice
for a Christian school.
Baptist college, yeah. Gators 50-1.
That's it.
Why is Oregon all of a sudden falling off?
Because
kids not care about the uniforms anymore?
No, I think it was just the culture and the offense, and Scott Frost is at UCF. Chip Kelly is bouncing around different NFL teams, making players hate him, and this guy wasn't really the guy.
Yeah.
So I mean, it doesn't have that same allure. They need to once they fire this guy, they need to go bring in a rock star coach.
Go big. They got the money. They have the Nike money.
And then they're also realizing Oregon's just not the greatest place in the world to live.
True. I'm surprised that Florida's odds are better than the Georgia odds. Georgia's 60-1. Florida was 50-1.
That's because Vegas is rational.
I'm still surprised though. I mean, Florida don't have any better of a quarterback situation.
Well, I think Vegas is looking at
maybe
the fact
defense.
that neither one of them is going to probably play in the national championship.
But
if one had a better chance, it probably would be University of Florida because they have a more stable coaching situation, easier schedule, and they also have Georgia's number right now and the number of all their other rivals besides Florida State.
Here's one the odds have gone down significantly. Auburn in April was 30-1. They're 80-1 now.
Because there's this little school.
Well, that's the thing, though. That schedule was the same then. You can't look at Auburn's schedule and say, hey, they got a really good chance. Auburn's got a hell of a schedule, man.
Well, maybe they were waiting for Nick Saban to make his NFL cuts, and he just got under. He just got under the 15. He just cut his 15 players, so he's at his 85-man roster now. So now we know exactly what Alabama has, and we know they're going to be pretty good.
Couple that were surprising to me, and then we'll wrap this up, is Wisconsin, 200-1.
Yeah, they're a dumpster fire right now.
Wow, 200-1.
They went from one of the teams that I thought would consistently win the Big Ten to now they're probably 4 or 5.
Miami, the U,
100-1,
80.
Okay,
80-1. You gonna take some of that action?
No.
No,
not
even. What would they have to be for you to bet on Miami?
I wouldn't bet because I know it's not going to happen.
Because then you'd have to pull for them.
No, that's not the case. Like, for perfect example, if this was 0-1, like I would bet.
You're about the money.
Like, but right now, I mean, I like Mark Richt. I think Mark Richt is a great coach, but Mark Richt is also the best coach that can't win the game that matters. And he's down in Miami with better athletes, but he's had great recruiting classes in Georgia. His schedule, okay, we can argue it may be a little bit easier. But I still don't think he's gonna. I still don't think he's gonna win. I think he's gonna lose at least 3 to 4 games.
Would it surprise you if I told you that Mississippi State and Texas Tech have the same odds to win the national championship as South Florida and San Diego State and Northwestern?
No,
they wouldn't in Cincinnati.
No, because none of those teams have a chance. And South Florida may have a better roster than some of those guys.
They don't have a better roster than Mississippi State.
I know for a fact that Mississippi State would lose. Mississippi State would lose by 21 to Florida State. Florida State couldn't beat USF by that much.
Man, what? You tell me if Mississippi State and South Florida played, South Florida would beat them.
I think South Florida has a better. They have a really good running back. They have an athletic wide receiver. They have an athletic quarterback. They have some tools with an aggressive defense.
Duke at 1,000-1.
Dang.
Yeah.
Maybe Duke that bad again?
I don't.
Is it Duke? Is it the Duke of old?
It must be 1,000-1, and they've been that way since April. They opened at 500-1, went to 1,000-1 in April, and stayed at 1,000-1. Probably worse than that now because they just lost their starting quarterback.
Okay.
So yeah,
that's just nobody from Duke is going to bet on them because nobody.
No.
Duke alumni are smart.
Hey, I do want to give one quick plug for the local listeners. Our fantasy football draft tomorrow night at Gators Dockside.
Oh yeah,
our first annual draft of drafts. Guess who's not going to be playing fantasy football?
You?
Me.
Because you're lame.
You know what I'm going to be doing at the draft?
Eating?
Drinking drafts.
Nice. Cold Miller Lite?
Yep. That's what I'm going to be doing right there. So if you're local, come on out to Gators Dockside in Fruit Cove, Julian Creek area. Have your fantasy draft with Straight Talk No Chaser, as we're known around here.
The Sports Den.
Sports Den. Yeah. Yeah. So come on out. Have a good time with us. We'll be back next week with all kinds of stuff to talk about because my man is going to spend 3 days prepping for the Florida State Ole Miss game. And by prepping, I mean going hard.
I'm getting after it.
Yeah? You still leaving on Saturday with this hurricane?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes, the hurricane will be passed by then.
That's true. We're supposed to go to Orlando.
Yeah, I'm getting after it, dude.
So
I'm leaving as soon as the show's over at 2.
Yeah.
I'm driving down. I got the cigar that I want for the drive down. And
how many cigars will you go through in those 3 days?
Probably 9 to 10.
That ain't healthy.
No, that's just because I'm on vacation. Like I don't know. I don't go through 9 to 10 cigars in 3 days.
What do you on a normal day?
I'll say on average, on a week average, I'll have 4.
Oh, Okay, so not even one a day.
Not on one a day. There's sometimes when I don't. Normally, most of the time is when right after a long day. Give me a nice little glass of something expensive, and a stogie.
Well, that's how
relax.
you do your show prep. Every time we have a show, you pull up, you're smoking a cigar in your truck,
Pretty much.
in front of the station.
Yeah. So like on Saturdays, I have 2.
Okay.
Sometimes on Mondays I have 2 as well.
Well, I saw the amount of cigars you got given to you last week.
Oh yeah.
So you got plenty.
I got about 20 that came in this week.
Nice. All right, so we'll talk to you guys next week. Have a great Labor Day weekend. Go Gators. We don't need it. Go Rebels. So I'll have something to talk to you about.
Go Noles.
See ya.